So in crypto, there's this recurring issue that doesn't get explained very well, especially around USDT and TRX transfers. So on the surface, everything looks completely normal. A transfer goes out, wallet confirms it, funds arrive. And from a user perspective, it's just a clean, finished transaction. But then later on, the same movement can get pulled into AML reviews, risk scoring, or extra verification steps that don't really match how straightforward the transfer actually was. And what's interesting is that a lot of these cases aren't about anything malicious. They're usually just the result of automated systems interpreting blockchain data at scale, sometimes a bit too aggressively, sometimes without enough real-world context. So this is where privacy and readability of transactions becomes a real technical issue, because USDT and TRX are fully transparent on-chain. Every movement is visible, every path can be reconstructed, and compliance engines rely heavily on that raw structure. But visibility alone doesn't equal understanding, and that's where misclassification starts to happen. Now, this is exactly the problem this kind of infrastructure is trying to address. So instead of relying on a single linear transfer pattern, the system introduces structured execution behavior that improves unlinkability at the graph level. In simple terms, it changes how directly transactions can be clustered together by external analytics tools, without breaking the fact that everything still remains fully on-chain and verifiable. And what that actually improves in practice is how clean the transaction relationship looks when it gets analyzed later. The goal isn't hiding activity, it's reducing unnecessary pattern similarity that often leads to false positives in automated risk systems. So flows get less predictable in structure, timing can be distributed more naturally, and transaction grouping becomes harder to oversimplify into a single obvious connection. That's where a lot of these compliance misreads usually start in the first place: overly clean pattern matching. And from a practical standpoint, that separation between custody and execution is what keeps the setup simple and consistent, even when the transaction layer itself becomes more complex. And yeah, that's the core idea. Not changing what blockchain is, just making sure the way it's interpreted doesn't create unnecessary friction for normal transfers.